Welcome to the Diversity Connector podcast, where we explore the rich tapestry of human experiences. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging, and together as we dive into conversations that bridge cultures, challenge stereotypes, and celebrate the unique perspectives each of us brings to the table. Each episode is a journey through stories and insights from a kaleidoscope of voices, each sharing their colorful narrative. Whether you're at home, on the go, or just anywhere in between, you're now part of a community that values understanding, inclusivity, and the beauty of diversity. So plug in your headphones, get comfortable, and let's connect through the power of our shared stories. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the Diversity Connector podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Diversity Connector. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young man. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi everyone, my name is Nicky Boit. I do live in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. My story is that I moved to Australia in 2017 February, so that is around 7 years ago. Came on a student visa, and I was studying Master of Data Analytics at RMIT University. Along the way, I was able to have my family join me. That is, then my wife was able to join me, and we established ourselves in Australia. I completed my studies after 2 years. That was in 2018, and then I was able to try and find, a work, an occupation that is related to whatever I did study at the university. So along the way, I was lucky to find an opportunity or an occupation to work for an organization as a customer information analyst, or rather customer information and analysis lead. So I've been working for the past 3+ years, and it's really been fantastic. It's really been nice working for this reputable organization as their customer information analyst. And I would say that within the 7 years of Australia, we have been trying as much as possible to integrate our communities into the Australian association, or to have that home away from home thing. So in 2018, I would say, we started a group referred to as Kenyans in Melbourne, and we occasionally met, I think, every once every month. But then we didn't have a proper planning. We didn't have a good establishment of this organization, and along the way, the organization did not find its roots. Therefore, it crumbled, or it's rather did not be stagnated. It couldn't mature, and we could not find wings. So in 2020, 2021, after the COVID, I was able to meet with a gentleman, or rather an elder, who has been here for over 15 years, and he shared his vision and mission about our community here in Australia, since that our community was really growing in numbers, going by the fact that we were getting a lot of international students coming from offshore. We saw that this was a golden opportunity for us to be able to establish ourselves here in Australia. And therefore, we brainstormed with him, we shared, we sat a few times, and I told him I'm happy to support his vision, and that's when he was able to reach other people from our community who live here, and Along that time, we were able to sit down and we established an organization called Taunet Nelel, meaning a new beginning, or rather in Swahili, we can say mwanzo mpya, or I would say Jumbo GPS, something of that sort. So Taunet Nelel is a new beginning, I'd say. So a new beginning. And therefore, this organization has been registered under the ASIC. If you go there, we have an Australia business number. We are a not-for-profit registered organization or registered entity, and we have a structure of how we run affairs. Therefore, we have a chairman, we do have a vice chairman, we have a treasurer, we have organizing secretary, we have a secretary general, we have an events director, we have catering, and we have marketing officers, and the list continues. Therefore, this organization, the intention of this organization was to be able to preserve our culture and heritage whilst we are integrating in the Australian society. Therefore, we've really seen an improvement in terms of making people feel home away from home. We understand that when you first arrive in Australia, when you come from Africa, I would say, you get that culture shock, and basically that is the personal experience that I went through. But then on the weekend I could not see anyone who was African where where I used to live, and it was really tormenting. In as much as I was happy to have moved to this new country, with new things, everything is new, but then I was having that miss of home, because there were not plenty of Kenyans or Africans over here. But then, looking at that past years and now, we could see there's an improvement. People arrive nowadays, they find there's a community, they find people they can talk to, they find people they can run to. It makes you, in as much as you're missing home, you don't miss that home that much, because you find that there are people that speak your language, there are people that eat your food, there are people that share your customs, there are people who share your culture. That makes it easier, it makes it much easier for you to be able to integrate into the society so quickly. Therefore, I would feel that Taunet Nelel, first key thing that, or the objective that we have achieved, is to make people feel home away from home. The second thing that our Taunet Nelel would want to achieve, is to preserve our language. And we've tried our best, level best, to be able to teach the young people, our children who are born over here, to be able to at least be, bilingual, or rather, multilingual. So we are trying level best for them to be able to understand our language, to be able to speak in our language, so that at least in the future they can be able to, when we travel back home, when we migrate back home, they can be able to, to integrate well with the Kenyan community. They can be able to speak their language confidently. They will not feel out of place. And therefore, we have created classes and sessions for our young people to be able to train themselves every Saturday afternoon. We found a few teachers that can be able to teach them the Kalenjin language, the Swahili language as well, so that at least they can be able to have another extra language from English. And that is the second key objective that Taunet Nelel would want to achieve. And the third one as basically being to be able to help, to be able to support people who are migrating into Australia to be able to integrate into the society. We have realized that there are a lot of young people who have gone through the challenges of migrating over here. They arrive and they realize there's a lot. When you are coming over here from Kenya, you realize that you think that it's a land of honey and milk, but then reality hits you. Once you land, you realize that there's a lot of things that you need to work on. There are a lot of things that you need to consult. There are a lot of things, there are a lot of challenges that you need to face and overcome. And therefore, one of the platform for them is through Taunet Nelel, whereby they can be able to reach out to us. We can be able to support them in terms of housing, in terms of not provision of housing rather, but connecting them to the right platforms whereby they can be able to apply for a house, where they can be able to apply for these checks, like the police check, the working experience check, the NDIS check and everything that you would require as a first timer in Australia to be able for you to be able to work and to be able for you to earn a living. Therefore, that those are the three main things why Taunet Nelel was established. And finally, I would urge our people, or I would urge the Kenyan community to be able to to go into these organizations. Therefore, Taunet Nelel was established at the same time Kenya Community Victoria has been in existence. So Kenya Community Victoria encompasses all the communities from Kenya, but Taunet Nelel as a sole focus of the people that come from the Kalenjin community. But we are not excluding anyone. We are happy for anyone who wants to be part of us, and therefore Taunet Nelel is a subset of Kenya Community Victoria, whereby we work in a hand-to-hand model and ensure that these organizations, ensure that we work or we align towards the same goals. And therefore, the Kenya Community Victoria and Taunet Nelel have been working hand in hand to ensure that all those three things that I've highlighted in terms of the language heritage, in terms of the cultural preservation, in terms of integrating our people who are fresh in Australia into joining the community are well established. Those are the key things that Taunet Nelel has been able to achieve.
Wow, that's just absolutely incredible. You know, Nikki, I had the privilege of coming and being a speaker at your event last weekend.
Yep.
And I've got to say, I've attended lots of conferences, lots of events. I felt like I was walking in a room and I had gone back home. It was just so well organized.
Yeah.
And it blew me away because I organize events. I know how challenging it can be to organize
Yeah.
events.
Yeah.
And as your role as the events coordinator for the association,
Yep.
what are some of the things that you've done that has helped you create such an experience? Because I have to say, for me, it was an experience.
Mhm.
I've been to a lot of events, and a lot of times you go to an event, it kind of just leaves you cold.
Yeah.
I felt like I had come home. There were things that you did. Your program was so robust. The
Mhm.
speakers were inspiring. But there's got to be another machine, another engine in the background that helps make all of that happen. So
Mhm.
just talk us through your process
Yep.
in helping to pull an event like this together as an event director.
All right. So basically, the as you've said, yeah, it's really not that easy to organize an event, and this is our third. It was supposed to be like called our second anniversary, and that's why we changed the name. So initially, we had thought of having it as our second annual, second anniversary event, but then we changed and said we will keep on naming it at 10th, 15th. So we just say we call it like an annual celebration whereby we all come together and celebrate our culture, our heritage, our customs. So basically, when we started this in 2020, 2022, when it was first established, so that is when we were able to learn on some of the things that didn't work out well. So we planned, we organized the event, and as you know, as you've worked with events directors before, you've been organized an event before, you understand there are things that don't go your way. You might have expected that it was going to be well, and then boom, it turned out not to be well. So we've been learning along the way that when you have an event, this is what you do, this is what you do. You identify the venue in advance, you do this, you sell the tickets, you do this, you inform the people what is going to be there, you try and find the speaker that suits that particular event. So basically, this is what that we have been doing all along. So we usually plan it within a year. So for now, we are starting to plan for 2025, annual celebration since Sunday, when we just completed our third event. So basically, that was what we are doing, and then we delegate the roles, and everyone can be able to play their roles very well, so that by next year, February or March, we already would have completed everything that would need us to be able to do that. So basically, Sorry. I think you lost me. I got a call from work, and yeah. So
Okay.
basically, that is what has been driving it, and we will ensure that we create a running sheet before we go through the running sheet. We ensure that it's suiting the event, the performances, the master of ceremonies, MCs, the DJ, everything to ensure that we have it before. So we usually have like I don't know, it's not like a trial. It's like something as an experiment that we do and ensure that how do you think this one would run, and then we see and run and be able to do an experiment and try it and see like, yeah, it's going to work out. And then we go for the event. Yeah. That is basically how we do our event.
Well, it was seamless, just absolutely beautiful. So,
Yeah.
can you describe another recent event that had a significant impact on the Kenyan community in Australia? What
Mhm.
was the goal and how was it achieved? I know that soon after that event, you had some sporting event. Maybe you
Yeah.
could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Basically, so we've had so in between last year we had another event that we did in August or no September. So this one was trying. It was basically for the young people. So it was for the youth and the kids that is between the years of 6 to around the year of 13. And then we had also the class of 13 to 18 and anyone else who was an adult. So basically, this one was just to showcase their talent. So it was like a Mr. and Miss, Taunet Nelel 2023. So we got a young people, basically, and it was really, marvelous. It was a golden opportunity. We saw the way the young people are talented, and the way they gave it all, and they were able to showcase, the talent. And we were able to have judges. So these 5 judges were able to look at their cultural outfits, designer outfits, and
Mm,
anything that they feel was able to place that particular person to be our marketing or our brand. And therefore we ended up involving the young people, and you could see the involvement of families, the parents, because kids were also involved. And for example, if my daughter was involved, I would, as a parent, I would be there trying to find the best outfit for her, trying to find something that shows a cultural, and basically that was making even the kids to be able to be involved and to be able to know their culture. For example, my daughter was born here, so most these occasions are whereby I would want her to know how my Kalenjin people are dressed, when as women, the way they, when they have a cultural function, this is how they are supposed to wear. When they
mm,
have a particular event, this is how they're supposed to present themselves. These are some of the things that you need to carry when you're going to such events. And therefore it was really an opportunity for these young people to be able to showcase their talents and to be able to know more about their culture. And therefore that was our first event in September. And then we had our second event in December, which is basically, it's like an end of year party whereby we just have barbecue at a park, and welcome everyone from, it doesn't have to be specifically the Kalenjin community, anyone from the Kenyan community, anyone from the African community. We just come and we thank God for the year that he has been able to guide us, and then have barbecue, toast, and then we cross over to the following year. And then for each event, when we have our annual celebration, we always involve the interstate. So that's why you would see people from New South Wales. You're able to see people from
yes.
Adelaide. You're able to see people from Brisbane, because we do have competitions that the following day. So when we have that function on Saturday, on Sundays, that is when we have the interstate competition, and then we would have the volleyball, the basketball, running, and then the soccer. And therefore these competitions really, it brings about, you can imagine, we have 100 people from from Sydney, we have 100 people from Adelaide, 100 people from Brisbane. These people are able to integrate and know more about each other, and to be able to work together hand in hand, because that is basically creating a home away from home. Because we
Yeah.
don't have that, you can't feel like you're part and parcel of this society. Because basically, if you are, no man or no woman is an island. And therefore we
Right.
always try and bring about all these people, so that we can be able to learn from each other, we can be able to to advise each other, we can be able to challenge each other. And through that we can be able to establish a good working environment for Africans in Australia.
Uh, it's incredible. Yeah, I was surprised at how many people actually came from out of state to come and support this. And I take it people from Melbourne will go to other states as well. People from
Yeah, we
Victoria,
did.
correct?
Yeah, we did. We did. Usually, so basically, we went there on March and we went for the interstate competition and we went to support them for the event. So we'll be heading to Brisbane, I think, in July or August, if I'm not wrong. And then from there, we'll be able to move to New South Wales in November. So that is how we
Okay.
always plan our events. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So, how does your community association promote diversity and inclusion within the wider Australian society?
We are not limited to only people from Africa or people from the Kalenjin community. In fact,
Mm,
when we always plan for the event, last for the last 2 years, we've had Honorable Jason Wood as one of our chief guests, and he's been able to come over and. Mark, he was really surprised, and he was really happy to see, people come together from different states, people from, from the Kenyan community. And one of the things that I remember he advised the people is, please keep your language and teach your language to the kids. He told us that one of the things that researchers have realized is when you are bilingual or multilingual, it makes you more confident, it makes you more easily to integrate in a society rather than when you are monolingual. And that is what one aspect that I was able to pick from him, that please
mhm.
teach your children your language. And therefore we have been trying as much as possible to be, to be accommodative, to involve the people, the Aussies, everyone. In fact, this year we wanted the Minister of Multicultural Affairs to come, but she was not able to come. And we've been trying to reach, a few members of parliament and a few community leaders, and sometimes it's a little bit hard, but then we have been trying as much as possible to outreach and to be able to reach out to anyone in the Australian community to be able to come and and see our event.
I love it. Yeah, I actually met a woman from Finland who was also in the audience. She emailed me and said how much she had enjoyed the event. I'm like, what are you doing there? So it was
Yeah,
interesting seeing other people from other cultures, and you opened the door to me. I'm from Zimbabwe,
yeah,
but like
yeah,
I said, it just felt like I had come home.
yeah, yeah.
So, what are some of the biggest challenges you face in your role,
Mm.
particularly in terms of engaging the diaspora and local communities?
Yeah, so some of the challenges that we do, find along, as an events director is, the reasons why people need to attend that event. So that is basically one of the things that I need to convince them why they should attend our event. And therefore, that is basically what we've been trying as much as possible, not even leave alone even the Australian society, our own people or our own young people. Sometimes, dealing with young people and the way Gen Z and the way things are running, it's really hard to make them to be able to to integrate into what we want to run. And therefore they basically, we always want to to involve them, we always want to have that particular event being able to to be receptive towards everyone. And therefore we are always very sensitive and ensuring that our events will be able to cut across and be able to have everyone get involved. And that's why the type of music that we play, we ensure that the type of music it cuts across. It's not an old dated music. It's something that the young
Yes.
people who are born in Gen Z 2000s are able to enjoy. And also we always try our best to ensure that the speaker that we bring cannot only speak in our own particular vernacular, they can be able to speak in English, so that there are people who cannot be able to hear that language can feel like they are part of it. And then another challenge is, I would say, is convincing the people. For example, when Jason Wood was able to come, at first he was surprised to see there are a few Aussies in the audience, and he was like, "Oh, I'm not the only one here." So it was really a challenge to him, and be like, "Oh, so at least there are people from Australia, and there are people from other countries who are part of this," and that is what we wanted to have and show them that we are not only, we are inclusive, we are not exclusive, we are not excluding anyone. We always try as much as possible to be able to accommodate everyone, irrespective of your race, irrespective of your religion, irrespective of your gender parity, irrespective of anything that you think, we are always trying
Yes.
to be accommodative. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, one of the other things that kind of came up for me is just curiosity about share a success story or a particularly memorable moment that exemplifies the spirit of your community?
I would say that one of the things that I've realized about our community is the oneness that we always have
Mm,
when we lose a particular person from our community, or when a person from our community is in distress, or they're in a situation whereby they can't support itself. And we have seen that we have lost a few young people here in Australia, and the
mhm,
repatriation process has been that they have to transport their bodies back home. And we've tried level best to ensure that we come together as a community, and we have been supporting them, because you could find sometimes some of these young people, they have been involved in accidents, they are on student visas, and to repatriate a body needs like 20 to 30,000. The
mm,
insurance cannot pay, but the community has been coming through and paying, contributing up to $50,000, $70,000, $80,000, just to show that unity. And therefore, that is one of the things that makes me, to feel that it's been a success to be in a community
mhm.
whereby if you have any issue or if you have any problem, they can be able to come through and support you.
Oh, that is fantastic. Yeah, it is very sad when there are instances where people die and it's challenging for the family.
Yeah,
So at least there's that support.
yeah.
So, how do you ensure that
Yep.
the cultural heritage of Kenya is preserved and
Yeah.
celebrated in your events, especially for the younger generation growing up in Australia?
Yeah, so basically, we, as I told you in the beginning, we've tried our level best to establish the language lessons for our young people, and that is what we have been trying to do, like have them through Zoom sessions, then they can be able to learn, even to say hi, even to say, support, help me with this, even to say, goodbye. Those are some
Mm,
of the key aspects that we have tried, because one of the ways of preserving your heritage, your culture, is through language. And that is what we thought it was like to have as the first key thing. And the second key thing that we have done is to be able to have some of the ceremonies, because basically in the past, for example, in my culture, if you have a son when they are 13 years or so, we usually prefer to initiate them, through the circumcision process. And it's really involving, if you are to travel all the way overseas for you to go and do that particular ceremony for a son. But we have introduced that aspect here in Australia, and it's been done here in Melbourne, it's been done in Western Australia, of which that is really
yes,
important, because the young people are able to feel like they are part, and the part or parcel of the society. They can feel the cultural aspect of us. And then the third way is ensuring that we have those cultural events whereby it's a competition. Who is the best, most, who is the most dressed cultural person today, all those things. And they're going to be able to make these young people to invest in these cultural outfits and be able to find the best outfit. It means that they have to research
mm,
how do my people dress when they are doing this occasion,
yes,
and then it makes them to get involved. And that, those are some of the ways that we make our heritage to be able to preserved over here.
I love it.
Mhm.
So, in what ways does your association collaborate with other ethnic communities and organizations in Australia?
Yep.
And can you give an example of a collaborative event or initiative?
So we've in the past we've only integrated with the Kenya community Victoria. So basically, when I told you initially about our community is the part of Kenya that we come from. So we have the Kenya community Victoria, which is an entity or registered organization, whereby Taunet Nelel is a subset of it. So Taunet Nelel is particularly focused on people coming from the Rift, but rather we are not exclusive to anyone. Anyone else can be able to join us. But the Kenya community in Victoria encompasses of all communities in Kenya, and therefore during the cultural event, when we have a cultural event for the Kenya community Victoria, we as Taunet Lil go there and be able to show our cultural perspective. People from who come from the central part of Kenya can be able to go into that event and be able to showcase their culture. People from the coastal part of Kenya, people from the western part of Kenya, and then it's like it's more of a healthier competition, but rather something that the young people can be able to learn. Oh, so this is how the people from this side of of the Kenya can be able to, that is how they put their clothes. This is how they, how these people dress when they have this particular function. But then we've been trying as much as possible also to integrate the Australian people into those functions. And I
Right.
think in the future we'll be able to, to collaborate and be able to participate in an African kind of heritage. Actually, in
Yes.
particular, last year December I was not around. I traveled offshore, but then I realized that there was an African cultural heritage that was organized in somewhere in Flinders Street. I was not able to attend, but I know the Kenyan community Victoria was able to represent us over there. Therefore, we can
Right.
see that, yeah, through that we can be able to have, we can be able to have us that function whereby you can be able to showcase our culture, to be able to to integrate with other culture and be able to learn also from people from Z, people from Uganda, people from Nigeria and stuff. Yeah.
I love it. So, what are some of the future initiatives or events that your association is planning? And how do you see the association evolving in the next few years?
Um, I think I would say that the future is bright, and going by the fact that we've been able to have three successful events in the past, and it's really been successful, I would say, and it's really made an impact because a lot of people are learning now to realize that, oh, so this is how Kenyans are. So this is how Kenyans behave. So this is how these people are. And then, for example, you would never come to any Kenyan event, but then that was your first time and you're able to learn a bit of our culture. So by then
Right.
having such people attend our events, it can be able to, you can be able to expound and be able to share more about our community, and then people will be able to learn about more about us and to be able to
Mm.
integrate us into the Australian society. And secondly, what we are trying to do is in the future to be able to to have, for example, the All Australian Cultural Competition or anything that has anything to do with culture, we'll be able to try much as possible to ensure that we attend those events. If there's anything to do with performance, we showcase our culture. If there's anything to do with selling our outfits or anything, we'll be able to be part and parcel of that so that people can be able to learn more about us and be able to, to understand, our culture. And therefore, I would say that the future is bright. We've seen that we are now we are no longer in the infant stage. We are now in
Mm.
the other stage. So we are really growing, and we know that the future is bright for us.
I love it. So, my final question for you is, what advice would you give to other community leaders
Yeah.
who are looking to make a positive impact in their communities through events and social engagements?
The first thing is I would say never to lose hope and never to tire, because sometimes, Australia or these Western countries, it's a busy world whereby
Mm.
you do have your own personal work and you have the communal work. So sometimes you reach a point and be like, oh, what am I gaining by doing this? But what I would advise them is never to give up. They keep on pressing because we are doing it for the future of our children. We are not doing it for ourselves because most of us are migrants, whereby we're already born in that culture. You're already born in that aspect. You already know that culture. But it's for the younger generation that is coming here, and we need to teach them because some of these values are very important. A culture. That's why they say preserve our culture, because
Mm.
anyone that doesn't have a culture is valueless. As any society doesn't have a culture is a valueless society, because culture preserve values, and therefore it would be good for them to keep on pressing, to keep on working hard to ensure that their culture is expressed, their culture is being showcased everywhere, so that we can be able to learn about those people, their values and their aspect. And therefore, my advice would be to those community leaders is to keep on working hard. There are plenty of opportunities in this country. There are plenty of grants out there waiting for us, and we should take advantage of them, considering we are here and we are happy to be supported as a community. So that is my personal advice to them.
Wow, thank you so much, Nikki. It's been wonderful delving into your world and
Yeah.
finding more about your community. Thank you
Yes.
for coming online and sharing with us today.
No worries. Thank you so much, Gertrude. It's nice having you.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Diversity Connector is a platform that brings you stories and voices from people from all over the world, celebrating our differences and celebrating diversity. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And if you do want to get hold of this community, there is their website at the bottom of the screen. Please reach out. You don't have to be African to get involved with this association. You just have to have a passion to connect with someone who's different from you. Bye for now, everybody.
All right, bye.
And that's a wrap, everybody, on today's episode of the Diversity Connector podcast. Thank you for tuning in and being part of our vibrant and global conversation. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a tapestry of diverse perspectives. Remember, every story you've heard today is a thread in the larger fabric of our shared humanity. So, as you step back into your world, carry these stories with you and let them inspire you to embrace and celebrate the rich diversity around us. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these inspiring stories with more listeners. Do follow us on social media by looking for the Diversity Connector podcast for more updates. Until then, keep connecting, keep listening, and keep celebrating the beauty of diversity. This is the Diversity Connector podcast signing off. Stay curious, stay open, and definitely stay